Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
Subjects.
Yeah, they are deep subjects when you pick these stupid documentaries that are just going to make me go home and start crying.
Ones, which I've got a whole bunch more.
Oh,
so
I know you got a whole bunch more.
We'll need to intertwine them.
Well, I've got this thing locked in for the next several weeks.
We'll have to intertwine them.
Because here's what I'm thinking. Last time we did this, we talked about the fact that we were going to watch The Social Dilemma, and then I completely forgot.
It's so good.
I know.
Dude.
I'll get there.
And it's so needed.
Yeah, it is. But Unsolved Mysteries released season 2, and you know how I feel about Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, and me and Joe just aren't on the same boat with you.
You're gonna be on the same boat after this is over. Because the last time
Mike did homework this time.
The last time the season came out, we did one episode for the entire thing, and there were 10 separate stories that we could have really dived into. And in this one, and I cannot wait for you to get to the tsunami episode. I'm telling you, I had nightmares.
Watched it last night.
I literally got woken up by my wife in the middle of the night because I was flailing in my sleep, like bad nightmares the night after I watched it. So I decided, and I'm using executive powers here, that for the next several weeks we're going to do these individually. I want to talk about these individually because each story needs to be talked about, I think. And the first one of this season of Unsolved Mysteries is a really crazy story. Especially, it's a sad story because it's talking about the guy. His name was Jack Wheeler, and he was an American businessman. He was a veteran, served in Vietnam, came back, was a huge guy in getting the Vietnam Memorial Wall set up. Anything that had to do with Veterans Affairs, he wanted to help veterans. So from that perspective, I love him. And then he was also a really smart guy. I mean, he went to Harvard, he went to Yale. He was a lawyer. He worked under Reagan, both Bushes, and did all kinds of different stuff, right? So what the hell happened to this guy?
Have we said that this is Dark Side of the Stream?
Oh,
yet?
yeah, Dark Side of the Stream. Sorry. We're
Look
doing
at
Dark Side of the
this.
Stream.
Mike got so lost in this that we forgot. It's Dark Side of the Stream, and it's only Mike and Jay this time because is Joe boycotting because he doesn't really care?
I don't know.
He doesn't like
weekend.
Unsolved Mysteries. He doesn't really like them.
We'll see.
I saw the group text thread. I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the thread.
That's true. Well, when he gets in here and we do another one.
Well, it sounded to me like this one wasn't that much of a mystery. He was bipolar.
Okay.
On medication. And sounds like there was something started to go awry there. Also, sounded like he was very passionate against the place being built.
Oh, the house across the street. We'll get into that. Let's not get too far into this.
I just think it's to me.
He was cut and dry.
On the surface, it was kind of cut and dry. I was like, okay, and between that, and you're doing a lot of shady business deals in that line of work anyway. Sometimes things go south, man.
Okay. Well, we will dive into our theories. Episode 1, Unsolved Mysteries on Dark Side of the Stream, 104.7 The Cave.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
Let's get this right this time. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7
we're so
The Cave.
now.
This week and for the next several, we're going to discuss some of these episodes from Unsolved Mysteries. I know Jay and Joe are going to go kicking and screaming through this, but I think these stories need to be told, and they were really well told. I think the new version of Unsolved Mysteries is well done, and this story about Jack Wheeler was really crazy because, first of all, it kind of begins with the fact that they find this body in a dump, right?
Right.
And you look at the injuries to the body, and I mean, this guy got the hell beat out of him. I mean, bad. Now, you say that this is all cut and dry, right?
I think so because I don't think it was just I don't think it was a random street thug thing because they wouldn't take the body to the dump. They would leave it right there.
That would.
And not if they threw him in the
trash. I mean, because they get into the whole thing about they got a trail, what truck brought it, what truck's route was brought it. They used all that to pretty much find what trash can he was probably in. Now, before they get into that, though, they start talking about how he had 2 homes. He had one in New York or something, and then he had one in Virginia, I think it was something like that. And he was real upset about a house being built across the street. And the night before, There was some smoke bombs that went off at this house, and then
they found his cell phone there.
They find his cell phone there,
and then he was all frantic about it, saying he lost his phone.
Then his whole house looked like it had been broken in, and all this stuff had been moved. But again, that could have been someone just losing their mind, like flipping out about something.
Seems like he was acting really weird,
and
man.
then he goes back to another, and they kind of trail him. The crazy thing is they have all the security camera photos
of him
and
acting weird,
going into parking garages.
Running around.
He got a ride from a pharmacy to this parking garage. Turns out that wasn't the parking garage his car was at. Then he talked to an attendant talking about losing his briefcase, couldn't find it. They pretty much assumed that he'd slept in the basement of this building over the course of one evening. Then he leaves. That's the last known photo of him. Then the next day he's found.
Yeah, it seemed
dump.
like he just kind of his brain whacked out.
What
a
do you
little
think
bit.
about that? When they were interviewing the trash guys, and they're like, "Oh, we call them hoppers."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "What?" And
yeah,
like,
I've slept in a trash bin before. Have you?
You have really?
Yeah, I've slept in a trash bin before. Yeah. Look at your face right now. Oh, too bad there's not video. Mike the intern is.
I have not.
How can anything I say shock you?
I've literally slept on the side of I-70 in the middle of the winter, but I've never slept in a trash can.
Me saying anything at this point, if you knowing me all these years, anything shock you at this point? Yeah, no.
Well, what's worse, sleeping on the side of I-70 in the snow, or
it wasn't
a trash can?
Trash can. It was a trash can, but it wasn't filled with trash. It was filled with newspapers. Like a recycling bin.
Okay.
Huge one filled with tons of newspapers, and it was in a... Do we want to go into why I slept in a trash
Well, hell yeah,
can?
we're going to do it.
So, I was in 7th grade probably, and in 7th grade back in my day, we used to all say, hey, I'm sleeping at so-and-so's house. You're sleeping we'd all say we're sleeping at somebody's house, and we would just run the streets.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Ride over skateboard the streets all night. So, over a fence of some girl's house or whatever, there was a parking place, and there was a big trash can, like a recycling thing full of newspapers. And so when it got super late, we came up with the idea that we were going to sleep in there. So there were probably 3 or 4 of us dudes. We piled in there to sleep. It was a big one. And then it was loaded with cockroaches. So as we're all laying down, all of a sudden, we were all getting assaulted with cockroaches. So we woke up and we bailed out as the sun was coming up and went home.
Oh my God, that's so nasty. Dude. Yeah, so I never slept in a trash can, but we'll find out where else Jay Stevens has slept. So we continue on Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
Jay Stevens, Mike the intern, back in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream.
Tales of cockroaches in your ears.
Yeah. Hi, we just found out that Jay had slept in a trash can in the 7th grade. We are discussing Unsolved Mysteries Season 2 on Netflix, Episode 1, which dealt with Jack Wheeler, who was found deceased in a landfill. He was a veteran. He was a champion of veterans' rights. He was a really great individual. You hear from his wife, you hear from his family. They loved him. They miss him. But we get into the details of this thing, and it starts to get a little weird. Now, you think he was the one that set off those smoke bombs across the street in that house?
Yeah, it sounds like it because...
And that's where the break started. He lost his cell phone, went back, flipped out, and then that's how this all started.
It sounded like there was a problem with the meds, man.
You think so?
I think so. A problem with the meds, and because he just started...
Well, if manic people, when something like that flips them... I mean, there was an Unsolved Mysteries episode in the 80s about this girl who was kind of manic, and she had some social problems, and I guess she had graduated. She was working at this pizza place, and in her mind had fallen in love with the manager or something and thought that they were going to do something. He wasn't trying to lead her on or anything, and she just kind of had a break and ended up driving her car into the woods somewhere, got caught. She had a severe breakdown because all these things started to snowball, and it became worse and worse and worse. And I think maybe if that's what happened with this guy, that's where it started. But the medical examiner, they looked at all the injuries on this guy, and they're like, this is not consistent with him getting put into a trash can, loaded into a trash cup, and dumped. I mean, the punctured lungs, like all this stuff that happened to him.
He was beat up for sure.
That's the thing that's weird. Yes, you can look at it, and then you see the footage of him walking around and very obviously confused. One point, he's walking around without a shoe on.
Right, that's why. It's very weird.
Really,
but he definitely
really weird.
I don't think that's solely the problem is the meds. I think it was the meds, but he also got himself into trouble. Like, whether it's the house people that he screwed with the wrong people, or it's just when you're in that line of work, you're making shady backdoor deals, and sometimes those deals go wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I really, it's so bizarre. It really is a bizarre story, and like I always say, the simplest answer is usually the answer. And so, I mean, at the end of it, you want to believe that there can be some justice for this guy, but at the same time, you watch it and you're like, man, it really doesn't look like anything other than the fact that he had a break and he went and tried to sleep it off in a trash can and just continued
Or
down
somebody
his way.
threw, or they beat him up and threw him in
beat
there
him up,
too.
but he still had stuff on him. Like he
Yeah,
had
that's the thing. You didn't
he had
take- that's why
he,
it was-
he was a graduate. It was
Didn't take his
graduate.
Rolex.
Yeah,
He had his
didn't take
Rolex on him still.
He graduated West Point. He had his West Point ring on him. I mean, there were certain things that he had.
Very weird. Now, are they offering rewards on these things?
Oh yeah. And on this one, I'm not too sure. And we get into the ones involving some of the kids and Lester, who's been basically on the run. That one, that's going to blow your mind too.
I know. I watched that one,
dude. There are some hard ones to watch, but yeah.
I just think that you would think that somebody would be like, after all this time, they'd be like, oh yeah, I know who beat that dude up.
Yeah,
just to get the cash.
But again,
even.
how would you know if that was the guy? And it's crazy how you can go from such prestige to just you're looked at like some kind of
he was running
lunatic,
around like a crazy madman.
in like the matter of days. It's a crazy story, and I feel for the family and really what he did for veterans cannot be understated. I mean everyone that said he was basically the reason there's a Vietnam Memorial Wall in D.C. because he was such a big backer behind that thing. So
the thing with a lot of these is the closure factor. Like the family's not having any closure at all.
Yeah.
I can't really put myself in that mindset, but I could imagine that's got to be the hardest thing because it's always a lingering.
Yeah, it's always
mystery.
the what ifs. There's so many what ifs involved.
Same with like that
you.
case from around here, with the girls.
The Springfield 3.
Before
Yeah,
I moved
there's no
here,
closure. There's
Same
no closure.
thing.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll get closure here on this episode as we discuss what episode we'll be watching next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but in your car.
We have reached the conclusion of this Dark Side of the Stream. We're going to dive into the season 2 of Unsolved Mysteries individually because I feel like we need to give it its due. And I'm going to drag you guys.
Mike's all sprung.
I'm going to drag you guys kicking and streaming.
And look, we can't even get Joe to come in the door.
Well, hell, he'll be here. And
Moody Cat.
We'll
he
get
pulls
him
that
in on
Moody
this.
Cat stuff.
We'll get him in on this. And again, today we were talking about episode 1 and how police are trying to figure out, or at least his family, Jack Wheeler's family, trying to figure out what happened to him after he was found in a landfill in Delaware. It's a really weird situation. I think both of us
Foul play.
What do you think? Foul play is involved?
I think foul play, man. I think he got himself into mixed it up with the wrong dudes, man, and something went sour.
2011, the Delaware State Medical Examiner's Office reported his cause of death was blunt force trauma without elaboration. Now, if you were in a trash can and got thrown around a lot, that's possible. Could have happened. Could have messed with the wrong dudes on the street. Could have just, but again, I don't think robbery is a motive because like we said last break, he had a bunch of stuff left on him. So if you were going to rob the dude, you would have definitely taken his West Point ring.
I think it got mixed up in some trouble, and then sometimes it ends up bad.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Now, the next Dark Side of the Stream, we will focus on episode 2 of season 2, which tells the story of a woman who was found dead from a gunshot wound in a 5-star hotel in Oslo. And at first, it seems
more
like
mysterious. This one's a little more mysterious.
It seems like it's pretty cut and dry. And then all of a sudden, speaking of closure, in this one, it wasn't really family because no family's come forward. It was the journalist who did the story.
Mysterious woman.
He can't get closure on it, so he was kind of the backing.
Woman.
Yeah, really, really crazy stuff. Dark Side of the Stream next Thursday. And remember, you can always download these as a podcast through our 104.7 The Cave app. Jay, don't go sleeping in any trash can. Okay?
my trash can sleeping days are behind me.